Well, good morning, sons, and Martha, and John, and Becky, and anyone else that might be catching this video today or tomorrow or down the calendar line sometime. We're in a year-long video series on the gospel, one topic alone. It is August 10th, 2022, and we're to number 91 in our video series that will have 156 videos completed by the end of this year. All right, our year-long theme is Jesus came down so you can go up. And very thankful for today that I can offer an apology to my daughter-in-laws, Sandy, Jade, and Felicia. As I mentioned about my prayers during church and how I divided my prayers up with my three sons and with my grandchildren. And then I mentioned women in my life, but I left out three of the most important women in my life. They're like daughters to me. These are my daughter-in-laws, Sandy, Jade, and Felicia. And I certainly pray for them every day, and they're certainly part of the women that I pray for at church. So I just wanted to get that straight. All right, let's begin here this morning. As we talk about the gospel, we understand that we're in a new gospel period. From the beginning of the Bible all the way through, up and through the four books of the gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and part of the way through Acts, it had the gospel of before the cross, of looking for a coming king, which was Jesus Christ, who was going to rule and reign on earth for whoever that believes that Jesus was the Son of God, the coming Messiah. That's why Jesus came down, to prove he was the Son of God. How? By the miracles he performed, by the preaching that he did, how lives were transformed. How are lives transformed? You believe that he's the Messiah. You believe on his name. Acts 4:12 says, "Neither is there any name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved." That's the name of Jesus Christ. But that is not the gospel for today. And that's the gospel we're still hearing as preachers. They're all over the place on the gospel. Sometimes they talk about the blood. Sometimes they talk about the death. Sometimes they even talk about the resurrection. But I'm here to tell you, without the blood, without the resurrection, without the death, there is no salvation. So that's why Paul is writing in Romans this verse. Now to him that is a power to establish you according to my gospel, that him should be Jesus Christ. I should have that in red, my mistake. Establish you according to my gospel. Is the my gospel Jesus' gospel? No. It's Paul's gospel that was given to him by Jesus. Now we don't follow Paul. Well, Paul says, follow me as I follow Christ. Hey, if you got a Christian mentor in your life, follow him as he follows Christ. Paul's saying, follow me as I follow Christ. So Paul's not taking the place of Christ. He's saying, hey, here's what we need to know about Christ. He died for you. Why? Because you got a debt of sin that could not be paid, and he paid that for you. It's no longer calling on his name. It's believing on what he did. He died for you, and he rose from that grave. According to my gospel. That's the gospel of Paul. John MacArthur, one of the greatest, I'm going to say greatest, and meaning most best known. I don't think he's the greatest preacher because he preaches the wrong gospel. How can you be a great preacher and preach the wrong gospel? But he's got thousands upon thousands of followers and a seminary that he operates and preachers that follow his teachings. And he wrote a book on the gospel according to Jesus. He wrote a book about that. Well, when you follow the gospel of Jesus, that does not get you to heaven. It has to be the gospel of Paul's gospel. Now, to him, that is a power to establish you according to my gospel. That's Paul's gospel. And the preaching of Jesus Christ. according to the revelation of the mystery. The new gospel is a mystery. It's not that it's something strange. It's just it wasn't revealed until Jesus revealed it to Paul. I showed you verses that the disciples, when Jesus died, they had no knowledge he's going to raise from the grave, or they would have been at the grave waiting for him. They did not know. Why? Were they foolish? Were they unlearned? Were they apathetic? No, God didn't reveal it to them. But God, through Paul, has revealed the new gospel. That's why it's called a mystery, because it's new. And here's the mystery. Many preachers are leading people to an unsafe eternity because they mingle the old gospel with the new gospel. They're not strong. Listen, if I was a preacher and every time I mention the word gospel in church, I would remind about that gospel is the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, who shed his blood for you and died on that cross for you. Why? To pay your debt that you could not pay, that separates you into hell, but God made a way. Why can't people see it? It tells us in 2 Corinthians why. Because the God of this world, hey, Jesus Christ is not the God of this world. If Jesus Christ was God of this world, everybody would be in church. No, the God of this world is Satan, and he's blinding people. He's blinding their eyes to see the truth of this new gospel in Jesus, and that has been revealed to Paul. That's why when I pray for people that I don't know if they know Jesus Christ or they have not believed on the death and resurrection, many times I'm praying, oh God, please open their eyes, ears, minds, hearts to see the gospel, to see what Jesus Christ did for them that they couldn't do for themselves. Oh my gosh. More reading today, more listening to Les Feldick I do every day. Oh my gosh, what a truth that I learned today that I don't even know how I'm going to get it in because I'm so packed solid for the next few weeks. But what a great truth that maybe I'll share with you. Keep coming to these videos. All right, verse 25. Now to him that is a power to establish you according to my gospel and the preaching of Jesus Christ according to the mystery, according to the revelation of the mystery, which was kept secret since the world began, but now is made manifest. The new gospel was kept in the dark until the light was shone upon it. That light of the new gospel was given to Paul, and he lights the new gospel to us today through the scriptures and through the prophets. Look what verse 9 says of Galatians chapter 1. As we said before, this is Apostle Paul speaking. So I say now again, if any man preach any other gospel unto you than that ye have received, let him be accursed. Paul is writing to the Galatians. He's writing to believers of people who believed on the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. He's telling them, don't let anybody else come in and tell you a different gospel. You've got it all. Don't be deceived. And we're at a time of weak preachers that won't preach the blood, weak believers who won't stand on the blood, who just says, oh yeah, I know Jesus. That's not enough. You need to believe on the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's your only hope. The verse 8 before verse 9 in chapter 1 of Galatians says the very same thing. If any man preach any other gospel unto you than that ye have received, let him be accursed. Paul writes it twice. When you see something twice, right after the one verse after another, it's of grave importance. Why? Because of the word accursed. That accursed means damnation. All you people that might come across this verse that's following teachers such as John MacArthur, Paul Washer, I could name loads of them, that don't preach the right gospel, the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's our only hope. That's the gospel. that Jesus died for you, shed his precious blood. They buried him, and 3 days later, he rose from that grave to conquer death for you and I. Love you guys.